Alright, got the whistle valve fixed, and we'll try adding a little air and test the whistle valve here, and let's see what it sounds like. So, very happy about that. Let's see a little running on air if we can. It's cold out here. I should have walked it through a little bit, but at least the whistle works. So I'll cut the video off here. Well, I started to do a video yesterday to show how nicely the whistle valve works now that we fixed that problem. And unfortunately there's a new problem, and it seems like the valves are stuck, because you'll hear in a minute when I turn the air on to demonstrate the whistle, you'll hear a tremendous flood of exhaust, and it's okay to have some, but it shouldn't be coming straight out. It's like there's a stuck valve that the exhaust is just pouring straight out. So sadly, I think I'm gonna have to take this apart, take it down to take the running boards off, basically disassemble the whole superstructure so that I can take off the running boards, so that I can take off the lids on the valve chests and see what's going on with the valves. But I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. The only other thing I could think of would maybe there is a malfunction with the snifter valve, but I'm not sure. I think that could conceivably cause it to run rough. I don't think it would cause it to do the issue that we're seeing now. So I'll turn the air on and demonstrate the whistle, and then you'll see what I'm talking about with the air coming out here. The other thing that makes me think it's valve related is that when I go to run it, it'll start to catch, like an internal combustion engine would start to catch, and it'll flip, and then it'll, like it's trying to turn over, and then if you play with the wheels, you can feel almost like a bubble of air that's keeping it in the kind of in a neutral position. Now let me rotate the wheels out, and we'll see what they do. So I've got the throttle closed, air is turned off. Here's my valve. I'll turn the air on. And you can hear lots of exhaust there. Good news, the whistle works, the whistle valve works great. And watch, I'll actuate the throttle here and keep an eye on the wheels. So you can see it starts to go backwards, and then it just stops in neutral. And if I give it a little tilt, it flips around backwards, and then it stops again. So it's very strange. I did look underneath here. Let me cut the air off. I did look underneath. That's why the mirror is there. I went through and looked at all where the eccentrics are, because I was thinking, well, maybe one of them got jammed out of place or something, but they all seem to be in the right spot, and they seem to be working properly. I don't think there's a good way for me to video that here. Let me see. That's just going to be too hard, but well, at least you can see the orientation with the mirror underneath there, and I've shown a light, the little Harbor Freight light there on the eccentrics and the sheaves, and it looks like, I mean, they're still connected. They look like they're in the right place and doing the right thing. Plus the wheels move smoothly, so it's strange, doesn't seem like something's stuck or broken in there, but nonetheless I'm getting a weird bubble, but it feels smooth rolling through here. I'm perplexed. I've never seen anything like this, but this is all a learning experience, so who knows. Well, easy enough to do. I took the snifter valve out I figured might as well try running it without and see what happens. So not sure that would make any difference or not, but who knows. I already took the valve apart. The ball's in there. It looks properly constructed, so I don't know. Anyway, got some air left in the tank. Let's go ahead and fire it up and try. Close the throttle. Add the air. Alright. Still hearing the exhaust rush. The throttle's working, because you can hear that. Try rotating the wheels to a different spot. And with that, yeah, it's just air, pure air flowing out of the snifter. That's an interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Definitely air coming out. Not out of the snifter. When I opened the throttle, air came out of the snifter, but not now. I'm rotating the wheels all the way back. Let's see if that. Oh. Pete's sake. I don't know. It's very perplexing. I think I may have isolated the problem to this valve here. Because watch, I can take this arm, move it all the way in and all the way back. I know that's not right. I don't think it should be, not without everything moving here. So I don't know if that's loose on the inside. It didn't look like it when I checked it yesterday. But see, I can, I can move that arm just a little bit. I mean, a 16th or 3/32 of an inch, but I can't push it like I'm pushing the valve all the way in. So I think maybe the problem is that arm, something to do with this left-hand valve arm, which if it is just that valve, that would be a lot easier, a lot less stuff to take off than, but I don't know. I'll see. Fred, please let me know what you think. I was going to publish this video, but what I think I'll do now, since I mean, we can see that something of a problem, maybe I'll just publish it as private, and so you could take a look and tell me what you think before I start taking stuff apart. A video that shows the problem, which I believe is causing the problem with the thing running on air now. This is the rod, here's the steam chest, and this is the rod that goes into the valve, and that's basically fixed. It's threaded and fixed, and this is a clevis. You can't move. This is a little bent arm, so its distance is fixed, and it's bolted to this ear. This ear is silver soldered to a pin which goes through a bronze bushing to the inside of the frame, and I've rigged up a mirror here and a lamp that kind of illustrates the problem. Let me do a little show and tell here. So this is the eccentric strap I'm talking about, and here it's fastened to the pin that goes through. This is the back of that arm I was talking about. Let me point to it from outside here. And the valve, there's the valve rod, the clevis, and the little bent arm. So all that stuff is okay and not moving, but you can see the problem. When I slide the valve arm in, you can see that this arm moves normal like it's supposed to, but watch when I'll move the valve rod, and the eccentric moves, and then it stops. Now watch, I can move the valve rod some more. It's not much, but it's about 1/4 of an inch, and it keeps moving. This keeps moving, but the eccentric strap stops moving, and that shouldn't be. It should always move completely together and never, there should be no independent movement. So let me show you. Yeah, I believe that's the issue, because the other side is much tighter than that. So inside here, there's a teardrop-shaped piece of steel that has a set screw on top of it underneath the boiler, sadly, that connects and fixes this eccentric strap to that pivot arm. And I believe that's the problem, is that eccentric strap is loose, because it seems to be. In this video you can see that. So I think the remedy is going to be, I'm going to have to figure out a way to set the valves how they're supposed to be and tighten that up. And I'm hoping I can find a way to do that without removing the entire boiler. Maybe I can remove just this running board here, and then I can take the steam chest off, and I'll be able to see the position of that valve and this whole side of things, and maybe I'll be able to reach into the set screw on the opposite side of this. I don't know, but that would be hopeful. I'm going to watch my video about when I set the valves and see if I can figure out a corresponding where this valve is supposed to look like with this arm in a certain position, and then I can retighten that arm down. That's my hope now. I think we've pretty well isolated what the problem is, so I know for sure I've got to take this side, this tank, and this running board off in order to make sure this valve is adjusted correctly. I may need to take both sides off, but for right now I'm just going to disassemble the whole superstructure and this side running board, everything that I need to take off on here. So we'll get started on that. I think maybe I'll set up the camera and try to do a, whatever you call that, fast motion video, time delay, whatever it's called. If it's worthwhile, I'll include that sequence next. We'll see. Well, taking off this side was pretty easy, and so now you can see I got access to the steam chest, the valve cover here, and the link and the errant control arm down there. I can put my finger on it. I can feel it's a little loose. That sure is aggravating. But I studied the video that I did when I set the valve timing originally, and also some other diagrams and things. I think I can do it with just one side, especially since it's just that adjustment that's out of whack. But my plan is to take the valve cover off. I'm not going to do it tonight because it's freezing cold out here. Probably do it Saturday, but take the valve cover off, or maybe Friday. Rotate the wheels so that I'm back dead center, and then look for the cracking of the port. Just slide the slide valve so that the rear port is cracking, and that should be the spot where the arm needs to get fastened down. So I could try that and then put it back together and try running it on air again, see if it runs smooth, and if so, then we're good. And I can even reach in there, I think, well, tighten the one on the other side too. That's something I was thinking about doing. Worst case scenario, I can take that other side off as well. I guess that would be the perfect way to guarantee the timing is set, but the timing was perfect before we got that one loose thing, so it sure is aggravating, but oh well, it's all a learning experience the way I look at it. So I'll bring you back when we make those adjustments. Well, the left side came off so easy, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and take off the right side. But now I remembered why I didn't want to do that. Because the piping that go from the tank down to the water pump, it's just a pain. I mean, I've got this loose, and it's the one thing I need to remove before I can lift that running board off, and it's going to be a pain putting it back together. So I've got a bunch of extension little wrenches, and I'm using some forceps and long needle nose pliers and all sorts of things just to get that last nut off of there. But that's why, in case you were wondering. But I'm going to take it off so I can look at do the timing job properly and double check both of the valves and their settings and everything. So just a little more fiddling. Okay, success. I got the right hand side running board off, and as you can see, this is nice. You can see the integrity of the whole setup here. And this way I'll be able to take both of the valve covers off and check everything like it's supposed to be. So pretty happy about that. The one tricky part when I go to reassemble it will be that feed line goes underneath here and down and bends to go into to feed water to the pump, the axle pump. So that'll be tricky and a pain when I go to put everything back together, but I'll just remember to do that and figure out a way. Step in resetting the valves is removing both of the valve covers. I took them off, and I've got screws to hold the steam chests in place. And this side, the right hand side, is the one that I think is perfect. You know, I don't think we had anything come loose, and it certainly, you know, the locomotive ran fine on air like it was. And so this one I'm using as a model. Let me show you, you know, the various, I believe these are the various correct starting points. It seems to all make sense, because the first thing they had us do in setting the timing was to have the inside and outside of these arms both perfectly vertical, and you tighten down the set screws on them. So you can see that's the situation we're at now. And I noticed that the wheels, the rods, at this point, this is forward dead center, so that the drive rod can't go any further in, and exactly the valve itself, the slide valve, is covering up both of the ports exactly right now. Watch what happens when I rotate it a little bit forward. I'm going to rotate the wheels just a little bit forward, and you'll see the crack. It's hard to see there. Let me get a flashlight so you can see what I'm talking about. But you see the forward port there, and also what's nice to see is there's oil in there, so that the oil pump is working from when I had it running on air. So coming through the travel here, not quite all the way to the reverse position. It went, you know, now we're about halfway back, so to speak. Continue to rotate the wheels, coming up on back dead center here. Not quite there yet. And now we can see right about back dead center, we can see the rear valve cracking, so to speak. You see the little black line there? That's the rear port, the rear steam port. It is starting to be open, so that would allow steam to come in and drive the wheels the rest of the way forward. So just see, look at this, just slightly past back dead center. Now the rear port is almost all the way exposed. So this would be the forward power stroke, and I'm rotating the wheels all the way forward, and front dead center again, and we're covering everything completely. And these arms are basically vertical at that point. So you can see where the arm is. It's forward, and let me get it. So right front dead center here, valve is centered, and everything's up and down there. So I think I'm going to use this as my model. Now I'm glad I took this steam cover off and went through all the hassle of taking off the running board, although it is going to be a pain putting this thing back together, but I think it'll be worth it. So that's a pretty good example of how the properly timed one side of it should look and how all this. So now I can go around to the other side and try to replicate the setup. Basically, I know I want, with the wheels or the rods at front dead center, that I want this arm to be, I want the valve to be pretty well covered up, and I want the arm to be basically vertical. It's slightly after vertical here. I don't think that's tremendously critical. The most important thing is the position of the valve there. But what I need to adjust, of course, is I need to tighten up on the opposite side and need to tighten up the little arm there. Speaking of the arm, I found my drawing from when I made this a couple years ago, because these were some of the first parts that I made, and I'll show you that in a second when I come back to talk about the setup on the other side. And while I had access to everything, I decided to go ahead and take out, I removed this so I could put the new screw in there, and this is a brand new one. And you can see I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but there are some marks on the inner arm, the shaft there that goes, and this is hanging loose. But long story short, I adjusted the rod and the clevis here a little bit too, so that the clevis is not quite as loose. It was pretty sloppy before, so I figured, what the heck, might as well try and shoot for some perfection here. So anyway, there's the new one of the 440 set screws that's in place, and I'll go ahead and tighten it down and try to reassemble and bring you back when we've got it to the next stage. Okay, here we are on the left side again, and after about a half hour of fiddling, where I took this pin out and adjusted the position of the bolt here through the valve and the rod, keeping the valve centered. I've adjusted this so that this part's a little less sloppy, and then I also had to adjust replace the set screw. Let me see if I can point to it here without getting my fingers in the way, but the set screw, you can see how tight everything is, but right down here, yeah, that set screw is a brand new one that I replaced, and it's tightened down, tight as I can get it. And so now these are essentially vertical, like the original starting directions. The valve is equal, it's covering both ports right now, and I'm at front dead center, so it's similar to the other side. So let's walk it through one time. I'll come back tomorrow and double check everything, obviously, because I don't want to have to keep doing this. But so if we rotate it backwards, the wheels are going forward. Alright, you can see the valve starting to move forward. We're about back dead center. We've got the rear port is cracking. It's fully exposed. We're just kind of past back dead center, just kind of going by feel. Keep rotating it forward, and right about here, we just passed front dead center, coming back, and we're cracking. You can see there the front valve is cracking. So you know what, I don't think the valve is exactly in the right position right now, but it's better than it was, of course, because we at least have some consistency. But I'm going to have to come back and readjust this. I'm going to do it tomorrow because it's late and it's cold out here, but I'll show you why I know it's messed up. Because right here, I'm exposing more than I need. The valve is going way forward, and if I rotate it backwards, see, we uncover the port. Where'd it go? It doesn't uncover the front port very much. There we go. It just uncovers it at that position, and it should be fully uncovered at some point. So yeah, so it needs adjustment. Matter of fact, I'm going to leave it like this to remind myself of what needs to happen tomorrow. I'll come back and I'll adjust. The nice thing is I can just adjust the valve to get it to the right spot. And I'll leave it like this. That will remind me of what needs to be done tomorrow. Right, I just made an adjustment. I unfastened this screw here, and I took basically 2 turns out, or added 2 turns I should say, to the threaded rod that connects the valve, and now I think we've got it all just right. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So starting position, as they say, got forward dead center, the valve ears that I call them, they're basically vertical and both inside and out, and the valve is covering up both ports, so it seems pretty much centered there. So let me rotate through and you'll see, okay, the front port is uncovered there about halfway through the rotation. It's already moving forward, coming up to the back dead center. Here's about back dead center. The rear port is uncovered for the power stroke forward, and so it goes. So I think that we've got that. I'm going to compare it one more time to the opposite side, but I think we've got it pretty well situated. And it was all, I didn't mess with the eccentrics at all, since they're fine. The only thing that was loose was that one there, and then we just made some adjustments with the this arm and everything, and the rod that goes into the valve. Before we do a final run through by hand of the motion and the valve timing and so forth, I wanted to point out I made a couple of caps for the 1/4x40 outlets. You know, this is the one to the the steam whistle. This is the one to the blower, and so this way, having those caps, I'll be able to test this thing on air, and I was glad to do that. Oh, the other thing I did, it's hard to see, but in here, right there, where the new set screw is and the existing one on the other side, I put a little nut on there to kind of lock them in place. Hopefully that'll prevent them from coming loose in the future. And let me climb up here, see if I can get a bird's eye view and walk through the timing. In fact, it's a little dark, isn't it? I'll do it once and I'll do it another time with a flash on, but hopefully you can see the valves uncovering. It's kind of cool, the motion for a steam locomotive, that how they're, you know, an opposite, you know, one's going forward, the other one's coming back, and so forth. So there we go. Hopefully that you can see those valves. Let me kind of, I don't know if you can see them cracking or not. I'm going to stop this video and I'll do another one with the flash on. Okay, now I got the flash on. It's a little brighter inside there. Okay, like this one I can see the rear port open. That one, neither port is open. Rotate a little bit more. That port, the angle's not good, but the front port is open. So this one, the back one's open here. Everything's covered up. Rotate a little bit more. Back one's opening here. There we go. You see the front opening on that one. Yep. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully I've got it right. We shall see. There we go. Yep. So because now I'm going to put the covers back on, put the cylinder covers back on, and we'll test it. I'll get some air in the air compressor and we'll try running it on air. That's why I made these caps. So I want to run it on air without putting the running boards and the tanks and all that, because this way if I need to fix anything, I can, you know, the timing, I can do it again. Also, I think while I've got everything off, I might go ahead and put the brake assembly back in place and then reassemble the whole shooting match. Sorry about my camera work there. Alright, I got a little air compressor pressure here. Let's cross our fingers and hope this works. Alright. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Air. I see it on the gauge. Woo! Alright, the timing is fixed. Hallelujah. I'm very happy to see this. Very, very happy. The regulator works. I am feeling a little leak. Where is it? It's probably coming out of here, not my little caps there, so that's okay. Not to worry about that. Very cool. Whew. Alright. Success. Happiness. There was great joy in Mudville.